Introduction to MuleSB. I I think most of you may are from technical background, so you understand about ESB. But anyway, I will just introduce it. And today we will be seeing like what is ESB and why we use ESB, and where does MuleSB come into play. Core concepts of MuleSB and a small demo. So basically, any ESB or integration is an integral part of any enterprise organization. So basically, currently we legacy systems which we have, they follow point-to-point integration. What is point-to-point integration is, if we have to understand that, so let's see if we have a web application and that web application connects to a database. So normally what we do, we build a connection between those using any technology like maybe Java, .NET, or any technology which you prefer. So we make a connection between them, and our users of web application, they start getting the data out of database and start working on that. During some time or after some time, you start using SAP platform, and then again there is some another application comes into picture. So what normally people start doing is like they start connecting them individually, like applications start getting connected to database, another application starts consuming SAP data or its information. So day by day you keep going on, and applications keep increasing. So as you can see here, it's kind of visible, like you keep on going and creating connections, and it's kind of a spaghetti and a mashup of various connections. So if you are a very small organization, then this may not be a problem. But since every organization wants to grow and wants to become big, so the more applications you start creating, or more interfaces or facilities or functionalities you start giving to your users, you can see here like if we keep doing this, so there are a lot of concerns here. So concern is, every time I change my database or some application, then I have to consider what will be the impact of all these changes on another or other applications or consumers or applications which are using that. So it becomes very rigid. Its main drawback is it's definitely difficult to maintain. And when we do this, we are totally bound by each and every application. We have to consider, even before changing a small thing, that what will be the impact. It's very slow. There is a lot of delay in development. You have to coordinate with many people. So to overcome this, there is a concept which is called ESB. What is ESB? It's a enterprise service bus. So what we do in ESB is we make a middle layer between all these other applications, and this layer works as coordinating and doing different operations which normally you have to make in your application. So all these things will be done using ESB. So here you see that we are not connecting any applications directly. We keep getting new applications and we keep attaching them to our ESB, Enterprise Service Bus. So this is same thing which we saw in the last slide. And here you can see there is a layer ESB which works as a middle layer, and we start connecting them and we get everything here. So what happens in this case if in future we start get some cloud application or maybe mobile application? Then we don't need to change anything into another applications, and we can definitely use ESB to connect them directly and start using them. So the benefit is the turnaround time or the development time of any application is very less. There are few basic things any ESB or a enterprise service bus should support. That we say like, okay, so before that, let's see this. So what is a ESB? ESB is a software architecture for middleware. It should support SOA. SOA is service-oriented architecture. SOA, basically, we define or design our applications to be robust, agile, and we divide them into small microservices or functionalities, component-based. And any enterprise service bus should hide the complexity. What we mean by complexity? The complexity of integrating different applications. So if I'm a Java application and I want to connect to a .NET application, so I should not be concerned that how should I communicate with .NET application. I connect to ESB, I send my messages to ESB, and then it's ESB's work to take it to .NET application, and how it interacts with that. It's not a concern of Java application or .NET application. So this is what we mean by hide complexity. Simplify access, like, so if you have a ESB layer or a middle layer, so any new application or newness of other applications. It should support canonical pattern. And what canonical pattern is, it's like a general design pattern for the data. So you follow this, and everywhere else you can use it very easily. Then the most important part is our integration is driven by business requirement and not by the available technology. So once we have a ESB layer, as I said, it can be any kind of technology. It can be Ruby on Rails, it can be .NET, it can be Java, it can be mobile application, iOS, Android. So it's not driven by the technology, it's driven by business requirements. So what features any ESB should have? First and foremost is routing. So it should be able to route different messages to different locations. Then message transformation. This is a no-brainer, because if one application sends a message in XML, then another application, if it wants in JSON, so our ESB should be able to do that kind of transformation. Message enhancements. Like if we want to get some enhancement on message, if we send value A and our different system expects value A plus alpha, so it should be able to do that enhancements on that message. Protocol transformation. This is also important because not all applications will connect on the same protocol. It can be FTP, it can be HTTP, it can be SFTP, or different kind of protocols like TCP, whatever you have, those kind of protocol, it should be able to transform those protocols also. Service mapping. Yes, if we have various kind of services, it should be, an ESB should be able to map those services. Message processing, again, it's similar kind like message transformation or enhancement. It should be like able to connect the different message processors together and work on the messages. It should be able to choreograph our process. If we have different processing or applications running on different places, it should be able to choreograph it. Suppose if I have a message and my business process says I have to do operation 1 first, then operation 2, then operation 3. So my ESB should support that. It should be able to do it. Service orchestration. Transaction management. This is also very important because not all systems are stateless. If we want a stateful transactions and we want to have a reliability in our transactions, then it should also support that. Security. This is very important in nowadays because as you know, there are so many security threats in any application. There are a lot of bad people outside watching for the messages which go and which like message spoofing and IP spoofing and all those things. So it should be able to secure your message, and it should be able to do it individually on the message and on the small. Even if you go more deeper in the parts of a message, I should be able to secure those messages also internal, like one entity of a message. I should be able to secure the whole message. So different kind of securities. So if I'm doing a HTTP connection, it should definitely support HTTPS, like FTP, then it should be supporting SFTP. So all this kind of security support should be there in any ESP. So this is a few of the features. If you want more details, then you can definitely go to Wikipedia and read more about Enterprise Service Bus. This is not a complete list. There are more features which any ESP should have. And one more thing I want to add is any ESP should support enterprise integration design patterns. Uh, there are various design patterns which, okay, I don't have that slide here. Maybe in next session. So now we come to, okay, so Mule ESB definitely supports all those features. And now the important part in Mule ESB is Mule messages. In fact, in any kind of ESB, a message is the core or the base of anything. So what happens in ESB? It receives a message, it sends the message, it processes the message. So what is a message? So a message object is you have a header. A header is a metadata about any message. So let's talk about HTTP message. Suppose you get you created a HTTP connector, inbound connector, and you receive a message there. So in my header, I should have inbound properties, outbound properties, like who has sent that message, what kind of parameters are there. So those metadata is included in the header part of a message. Second most important part is payload. So other than metadata, I should be able to get what exactly is my message. So if I send if we take an example of HTTP, so when we post something, the post data, maybe an XML or a JSON, it comes as a payload. So in Mule terms or in ESP terms, we call that message as a payload, a part of message. And the object, and there are a few other things you can see. There are variables, attachment, exception, payload. Those will come into picture when you want to use them, but most important part is header and payload. Most of the time you will be working with that. And variables are something when you do message processing, you want to set some variable into that message. Attachment is if you have a form-based payload, then the attachment will have all the data of that form. Exception payload, if you are doing some processing on payload or message, you get some exception, maybe like null payload is there, there's no payload and you try to execute something, you will get an exception payload in that case. Okay, so let's move next. What are the building blocks of any Mule application or Mule ESB? First and foremost important is connectors. So what is connector is? A connector is an endpoint. It sends and receives, and it has host, address, and port details. So if I have to give an example of connector, you have HTTP connector, you have FTP connector, you have SFTP connector, there are file connectors. So these are the types of connectors which Mule have. It's as a building block. Then you have components. Components, when we say components, it's basically general components. Like you can have a script-based component. You can write Groovy, you can write JavaScript, or you can have a web service component. You can connect to web service. You can consume a web service. So all these things are covered as a component. Then transformers. So transformers are again, it's as I said, it just normally its main responsibility is to transform the payload from one form to another, or to work on that payload and do some changes into your message payload. Then filters. Mule by default, it has almost 12 plus filters included. There is you can have minus or plus. Sorry, there is a mistake in this. Then it should be minus or plus, not. And you can definitely create your custom filters. So what filters mean is you receive a message, and before you process it, you want to filter it. You want to check whether it passes some condition. If it's not passing that condition, you don't want to process it. You want to send it back to the caller and tell them that we cannot do anything with this message. Routers are basically they provide different routing to your messages. It controls the flow. You can do splitting, you can do resequencing, you can do aggregation. So these functionalities are basic um, implementation of routers is there. Then you have scopes. Scopes are basically wrappers for any processing, like you can have a scope for components, transformers, all these things. So those are covered inside scopes. Scopes are like if I have to give a like choice scope, or a choice is a router, then you have a scope of asynchronous, and all those scopes are available. Then you have exception strategies. Exception strategies are basically you have error handling, faults, and different kind of strategies. You can define global exception handling. You can have individual exception handling on a flow. Flow, we will be covering what is a Mule flow. Then, okay, so these were the components. Okay, let me just quickly. Okay, okay. Sorry, I just came back here. Okay, so Mule app. What is inside a Mule app? So Mule app consists, if I have to give an example, let's say we are talking about HTTP, so let's take that example. Mule app has an inbound connector. So where you connect your application. So your application or the caller. So caller will connect to your HTTP inbound. It can be any kind of inbound, as I said, FTP or SFTP or those things. So you expose where you expose your service. So that is exposed. A message is sent. Message is received by HTTP, your inbound connector, and then it will have some processors. Maybe you will have different kind of processors working on that message, and then that message will be sent back to the caller. So this is a basic overview, or a kind of overview of a Mule app. So you can see we have one connector, inbound connector, then we have different processors on that. And what if we have various kind of message flows or processing? How to control that? Suppose if I have something like this, how to do that? So for that, Mule provides you routers. You can definitely use a router and transfer based on some condition. You can transfer that message to different kind of message processors. So here, this is the basic overview of any Mule app. So this is very high view. It can have many more things, and it can be very complex. When you work on any application or any enterprise level integration, don't expect it to be simple like this. It will definitely get more complicated than this. There will be various routers, various message processors, and then you will be working on that. So this as a whole, the part here where you can see many message processors, it's basically processing of message. And this part here, the green mark, it's a Mule flow. So when we say Mule flow, it's the whole Mule flow. the inbound, the processing, the outbound, this all is together a Mule flow. Now Mule Anypoint Platform, basically what MuleSoft has done, they provide you various kind of implementations or various kind of tools to make your implementation or design very easy of using Mule. So there is a component for design, then engaging your users, operating, analytics, and there are various things, and it's pretty big to cover. So today I will not be covering all this, but just to give an overview that this is there. And again, this is how those previous parts are implemented. It's like design is Anypoint Design Center, then there is Exchange Anypoint Management Center, then there is Mule Runtime Anypoint Connectors. You can definitely write your own custom connectors. There is Runtime Services. Okay, so now we reach to demo part. And today what I will be covering is we will be writing a HTTP endpoint, and I'm sorry, there is some sound outside. I hope it's not too audible, but okay. So what I will be doing is we will be creating one HTTP endpoint, and we will be passing a message from our caller from browser, and based on that we will be setting a variable, and then we will use a choice router in Mule Anypoint Studio, and then based on that choice we will set 3 different payloads, and then we will see how it works. So this is very basic demo. So just to give an overview how Anypoint Studio works and what is available in Anypoint Studio. So let's get going, and let's create something. So when you go to Anypoint Studio, you just open your studio and you have to choose any workspace. So Anypoint Studio is basically developed on top of Eclipse. If you have used Eclipse, you will not be facing any trouble in using Anypoint Studio. So most of the concepts or shortcuts which you use in Eclipse, everything works here. So first of all, let's select one workspace where we will be writing this. You can save it to any location you want, and then let's hit OK. Okay. So one thing I want to tell is if you have computers, Anypoint Studio is a bit heavy application, so I will suggest if you have something around 8 GB of RAM and a good processor with 64-bit, that will be really helpful. But if you don't, then also it's fine. So once you reach inside Anypoint Studio, you will get all these messages. It's okay, you can accept them. Okay. Okay, I press something. Okay, let me see. This message is coming here. Okay, so let's hit skip. So here you can see various options. You can open a template, you can open the documentation, example project, or create a project. So today we will be just creating a sample project. You can create it from here, or you can just, if you don't want, you can close it. It will be like this. So here you can see you have a, okay, let's create a application, then I will show you what are different points available here. So you can create from here. You can right click, go to new Mule project, or you can go to file, new Mule project. So there are various ways to create any Mule project. So we select one Mule project. Okay, so as I said, it's slow. So I will be doing it on Mule Server 3.8.1. This is a very simple application, so you can definitely go to 7.1 and 7.0. Okay, so there is various kind of versions of Mule runtime available. So in today I will not be covering all the differences between them. There is quite a lot of difference between 3.8.1 and 3.7.1 or 7.0, and they changed a lot of implementation in runtime. So okay, then let's give it a name, Mule Flow demo. And if you want to use Maven, you can check this box and get a Maven based project. So today we will not do that. You can hit next, leave everything default, everything is fine, and then hit finish. Okay, PC, my laptop is running a bit slow. Pardon for that. So once we have it running, we will create the flow which I showed you in that presentation. So we will first drag and drop all the components, and then we will start setting them up. Okay, so this is what I was saying. It's pretty heavy, so you have to have a good computer to work. Okay, so here you can see this is the package explorer, which is similar to Eclipse. Then you have your different kind of consoles here. Here is Mule properties and problems. So I think if you have seen Eclipse, it will look very similar to you. Then there is a Mule palette. As I said, there is different uh, things provided by Mule, like connectors are there, scopes are there. So if you go to scopes, you can see async, batch, cache, flow, different kind of scopes are there. Then endpoints are there. You can go to components, and then there are transformers, then filters, flow control. So various kind of options are available here. So today, as I said, we will be creating one HTTP endpoint. So and the most simple thing which I find is rather than going to each and every one, there is a search option available here. We go there and we write what we want to search, and we just drag and drop. So we just drag HTTP and we just leave it here. So it will automatically, it understands that when you drag a HTTP, it's HTTP inbound you want to create. If you already have a flow and you drag it inside, it will create a HTTP outbound flow. So let's just create the framework, what we want to do. So as I said, we have a HTTP, then we have a variable setting, we set the variable. Let's drag one choice router. So in choice, let's set some payloads. So be very careful about this black line. So whenever I am dragging and dropping something, I wait for this black line to come, and then only I drop it. If you don't do it properly, suppose if I just come here and drop it like this, you see it goes outside, it doesn't go inside. So if I come here and drop it, so it goes here. So be very careful about this. Where when you move it, look at this where it is going to place it, and then leave it there. Then let's put one more and one more. Okay, so before that I should explain what exactly we are trying to do. So we are trying to do a caller will call our HTTP endbound with a variable for language, and based on that language we will take a choice whether to say him a greeting in English or in Japanese, or maybe default one. So okay, I made a mistake and it should be here. Okay, and then let's for the sake we see what exactly is going on, we just drag one logger. So let's start setting it up. So we go to HTTP. Here we are seeing one error because we have not defined any connector configuration. If you click this plus button here, one pop-up will open and it will ask for the configuration of your HTTP inbound. Here you can define the port, various configurations. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. And if you are not having access to your 8081 port or some other services running, you can definitely change it here. Let's hit OK. So that's it. We are done with this. And let's give it a path. Let's say it greeting. So our flow will be accessible at localhost 8081 and then path greeting. Then let's go to variable and give it, let's choose set variable. And what we will be doing here, we will be setting a variable based on HTTP query parameter that will be language, and we will set this variable here. So if I just hit control space, there are some auto options will be coming. So I can definitely go to choose message, and in message, if I hit dot, you can see there are a lot of attributes available in that, or values available in that. So what I want to go to inbound properties. So I type inbound properties, and in my inbound properties, I want to go to my query params. So in my query params, what I want to get my language query parameter. Okay, my laptop is not supporting me at all today. Okay, so let's wait for it to finish its. Okay, come on. That's why I don't like working on this. Mostly when I work on a XML, which is getting created on the backend side. So let me just clear something. Okay, I want to free up my memory. Okay. Let's go back to this. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. Now it's not opening. Okay, my application not responding. Okay, still it's rotating. Deeply apologize for that. Okay, maybe I can close some applications. Great. Okay. I had one more Anypoint Studio running, so maybe that's the problem. Okay, finally it came. Okay, so here this should be square brackets, not curly braces. So here we give our inbound query parameter as language, and pardon me for this, it should be here, and this should be the name of the variable. So we give this as a variable name as language, and then we save it, and we come to our choice. Here you can see we have three options. So based on English, Japanese, or default, we want to say some message. So let's double click this. If you go here, and we can give flow vars. So the variable which we created is saved in flow vars. We give language, and then we do double equal, and we check if that language is equal to English, or we do the same thing here. Again, we do flow vars language, and we give double equal if it's equal to Japanese, right? So based on these two things, we will be sending message back to our user. or the caller. So what we want to set is, first, let's say greeting, let's change the name, greeting English, and we don't need this, we can directly give some message. We can say hello, welcome to Mule ESB, right? And then we do the same thing into second payload, and we say greeting Japanese, and we give I don't know how to write Japanese, so I will just write it in English, but something else, maybe konnichiwa, genki desu ka. Okay, so this is our Japanese, and by default what we want to say is, sorry, okay, no language, no greetings, right? And then in logger, we go to logger and we just press, okay, we can start writing hash, and if you write hash, it will give you payload. We can just write this payload into logger. So before we start running it and seeing what it does, I want to show you the XML which gets created behind the scenes. So if I just hide this part, maybe hide this part also, this also. Okay, so here you can see, first we created a HTTP listener on 8081. This is my local host address. Then we created inside our flow, we created a listener which is listening on this configuration. Then we set a variable language, and we get it from inbound property, and we set it into variable, and then based on that variable, if it is English, we are setting welcome, hello, welcome to Mule ESB, and then if it's Japanese, we are setting konnichiwa, and then if it's nothing, it's by default we are setting no language, no greeting. So pretty simple stuff, nothing too fancy. So let's run it and see how it works. So to run it, again, there are various ways to run any Mule application. You can right click on your flow and choose run Mule project flow, or you can go to your Mule application and then you can choose run as Mule application. So any way is fine. So let me run it through here. Okay, I need to save it. So if you have not saved it, it will prompt you to save it. And then here in the logger, you can see it starts running and it will get boot up. And then you can see various kind of containers. It's waking up the container, Mule container, and then it will deploy our application into that. So here you see the message, Mule demo deployed, and you see Mule is up and kicking every 5000 millisecond. So there is a domain we will cover in later point. But okay, so our application is run, has started. So let's go to a browser and call it. So let me just minimize it a bit so that we can see what's coming in the log also. So as you see, it's running at http:// localhost 8081/ greetings. I think I named it greetings, so let me just double check it. Okay, it's greeting, not greetings. Okay, greeting, and then we pass a query parameter which is language, and so here is our query parameter language, and this is how it's running. So let's send it and see what comes back. Okay, so we got one error. So we forgot to do something. Okay, I made a spelling mistake somewhere. So let's go back and see what did I do. Okay, so it's not S here, so it's payload. As a developer, I like errors because it gives me a chance to learn something, and that's how we learn, trial and error. Okay, so I hope it runs this time. Let me just again cross check everything. Payload, flow, language, okay. Okay, so it's running again. Let's send it again. And we get, hello, welcome to Mule ESB. And in the log also you can see you're getting that message. Let's change it to some other language. That is, we have JP. We say it gives us konnichiwa, genki desu ka. And then if we don't give anything, we get, sorry, no language, no greetings. Okay. So as you see, it's pretty simple to develop any application in Mule. And what you have to do, you just have to drag and drop few things and then you manage it, and it provides a lot of functionalities. So with this, we come to end of the demo, and I hope I was able to clear it properly. Thank you.